Stay tuned and let's check out the Marvel Legends The Infinity Saga Avengers Endgame 2-pack with Iron Man Mark 85 and Thanos. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember, you can now hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Quite simply show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are finally taking a look at this Marvel Legends, Marvel Studios The Infinity Saga Avengers Endgame 2-pack with the Iron Man Mark 85 and Thanos. Now, we all love Endgame, and when I came out of that theatre, I knew the first figure I needed from Marvel Legends was Tony Stark in that iconic moment where he snaps his fingers and says, "I am Iron Man." A bittersweet ending for me, as he was my favourite character of the MCU, and I still think he could have played a part in Phase 4. I didn't think they had to end it the way they did, but I get it. Robert Downey Jr. started it all, and he needed to be the one to sort of wrap up that Infinity Saga chapter. So we finally get this 2-pack with another Thanos. This is like the 5th or 6th Thanos we've got in 2 years. My favourite villain from the MCU, so no complaints. At least there is a little bit different to what we've previously got. We've got 4 heads. We've got the actual power gauntlet this time, more accurate to what he was wearing. And hopefully we can do a mix and match with the arms and make a more accurate Thanos from Endgame, as that was my major criticism from some of the previous Thanos figures we've got. None of them were exactly spot on. There's always something that was a little bit off. So this is a nice 2-pack with that upgraded Iron Man Mark 85 with the 2 Robert Downey Jr. heads, which look like the best 2 likenesses to RDJ that we've got in Marvel Legends form, with this new sort of neck peg system. Lots of accessories, and then we get Thanos, as I said, with a more accurate look and an accurate weapon as well, which I like. So hopefully with everything else I've got in my collection, I can create my ultimate display of Iron Man and Thanos like they are at the end of Endgame. But there it is in the window bottle packaging. You see everything you've got. You've got the Infinity Saga logo on this like speckled packaging. Avengers Endgame there at the top as well. Spin it round, you get the logo, or the poster for Avengers Endgame, as well as 2 little write-ups. The first for Iron Man says, Iron Man steps into the battlefield against Thanos in the ultimate fight for the fate of the universe. And then the write-up for Thanos says, Thanos is a destructive force that will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. So yeah, this is definitely my favourite line from Marvel Legends out of all their summer releases. This Infinity Saga box sets to complete, sort of give us new characters and upgrade previous ones for our MCU displays. As you know me, I love my MCU collection. So without further ado, let's get the box open. So here we have Thanos and Tony out of the packaging, and they just need 2 more members and they could start their very own barbershop quartet with those clicking hands. But as you can see, we get lots of accessories for both of these figures. Now, I'm personally more excited about Iron Man, as I think there's more newness with him. So we're going to look at Tony first. Let's start at these new Robert Downey Jr. unmasked Tony Stark head sculpts, because as I said at the start, these could be, and they probably are, the best likeness to RDJ that we've got in our Marvel Legends collection so far. So here we have his beaten up head. So I hope my lights ain't too bright on this and you can get a good look, because I do think it is very nice. Definitely better in person than it's probably coming across on the camera now. If I can remember in post, I'll throw up a nice side by side and you tell me, how does it look? As it's meant to represent that last moment in Endgame where he's on his knees and is about to snap his fingers. So he's a bit bruised up, but he's got his trademark goatee and his hair. And what I love about this new armor as well is that you've actually got the nano gauntlet sort of embedded with the Infinity Stones, which is very nice, which makes it very Scene Pacific. But yeah, this is very nice, liking that a lot. Now we do get an unbeaten up head, if you will, so you can display him before he went into that final battle. And they've got this new neck peg system where this neck and the head are 2 separate pieces. So this is how it works. Literally the head is attached to the neck peg and the neck peg literally comes out and leaves a hollow gap, and that is where we can put our new Iron Man. And here we have our cleaner version of Tony Stark, where he's not beaten up and bruised now. And this looks very nice. This is easily the best likeness to Robert Downey Jr. we have in Marvel Legends form, without a doubt. This is Very, very nice. This is better than I thought it was going to be when I first seen it in the box. Now it's up in person and I can sort of twist it a little bit from certain angles, people. That is spot on. So bravo, Hasbro. This is very, very nice. But of course, if you don't want your Iron Man as Tony Stark, you can put the helmet on. And again, the neck and the head will come off. So because the other head with the helmet has its very own neck peg. So, and again, I like that touch because now we ain't just got a floating head on the armor. You can actually see his neck, how it appears in the film with that nanotech. Because he's Mark 85 now, he's got that new technology. So yeah, let's put on this helmet. And there you go, seamless. That is beautiful, looks very nice. Now you don't see the skin neck. It's all armored up, ready to go. And yeah, this is beautiful. Let me just zoom out and let's check out this armor while we're here. Because as I said, this is the same Mark 85 as the previous one, but I think it's got a new upper torso to sort of accommodate the new neck joints. And it's got a slightly different deco hit. The gold is a little bit more darker. So if I bring in the previous version, you can see there's definitely a different sort of element of gold and red there. It's like there's more candy chrome red on the new one, but the gold is also darker, and the sort of the details in between the armor are more chrome on the previous version and they're more gunmetal grey on the new version. So as you can see, there's definitely similarities. It's just the upper torso piece that is sculpted just a little bit differently. Like you need to see it in person, but there are sculptural differences to accommodate that new neck piece. But other than that, the arms, obviously apart from that new hand, the arms and the legs are all the same, just different deco hits. Let me spin him around. You can see again on the back, different deco hits, a little bit more detail. So I like the previous Mark 85, don't get me wrong, I never looked at that and thought it's not accurate, but I do think this new one is going to pop a little bit more on the shelf, and I do like those interchangeable head options. I wanted to show you a close-up of the gauntlet, but it really is just an interchangeable hand that has the Infinity Stones on it. This hand can pop off, so you don't have to have this armor with the Infinity sort of stones constantly attached to it, but it is a nice option, especially when you're displaying it with that beaten up Tony head. But it does have more interchangeable hands. So this other hand is a C grip. So we've got the Infinity snapping hand, and I do like how it's a snap. Like you can actually get him snapping, which is beautiful. The other hand is a C grip, and we do get a set of fisted hands, of course, as all action figures should come with a more neutral or punching pose. His other set of hands are open palm repulsor blast hands. As you see, they have the pegs in there. And we do get two repulsor blasts that we've seen many, many times with Marvel Legends. This time they're in that blue. And yeah, they just plug in there. And what I really like is that these hands actually have the hinge up and down. So they're not sculpted in one way. You can actually hinge them back and forth rather than them being sculpted up, which is usually the case. So you can get Iron Man obviously blasting somebody, or you can get him posed up with his arms down. So yeah, I like those options. But yeah, repulsor blast. But we also get weapons. He gets a shield, which is a translucent blue, so we can protect Hawkeye, of course. And that is just clipped onto the forearm. So it doesn't clip onto a hand at all. It's literally just a translucent blue piece, which is pretty thick as well, to be fair, with just a clip on it. And then you obviously get his arm up and you literally just clip it to the forearm, and it's a little bit loose. I'd wish it was a little bit tighter, but obviously if you get his arm posed up as he is in the movie like that, you can get him with the shield. I do think the shield's a little bit too small compared to how we've seen it in the movie, but still, it's a nice touch, nice accessory, and yeah, for some pictures or whatnot, that's going to work out nice. But as you can see, a little bit loose, but still, the idea and the effect is there. His last accessory is the reason we've got that one standalone C-grip hand, as he needs to hold his sort of nano blade, if you will. So he holds that very nicely. You can get him posed up with that pretty good. But this blade reminds me of his fight on Titan with Thanos with the Mark 50 armor. So I'm not actually sure he uses it in Endgame. Maybe he does during that final battle. I can't quite remember. But still, it's a nice accessory. It's just got the red and the blue. So you might be able to use it on another Iron Man armor if he has any C-grip hands with the other armors. I can't remember. But still, that's a nice touch. So you can get your Iron Man with his blade in that one hand, and it's a tight grip-ish sort of. And then on the other arm, you can get the shield, which again has some nice sculpted detail in there, like a Jolly Rancher, if you will. We don't have Jolly Ranchers in the UK, but they're delicious. But yeah, there you go. So now you get your Iron Man all ready up for battle. So not 100% accurate to what we see in the film, but there are accurate elements. So again, you can mix and match and make your own Iron Man for your display. And I couldn't move on without at least seeing if Tony could get down on his knees and posed up, snapping his fingers, just like he does in that iconic scene in Endgame where he says yet again, for the final time, I am Iron Man. And this is what I wanted in plastic. After I seen that film, I knew I needed this represented on my shelf to remind me of that moment, as I said, legendary status. And yeah, we can do it in Marvel Legends form. Beautiful. Moving our attention to Thanos, and again we'll start up top because they have tried to do this head sculpt where it's fading away to dust. Now obviously that's very hard to do in plastic, so it sort of looks like he's turning to stone, but I get what they were going for here. This is at the end where he's sat in that stone, he's sort of accepted his fate, and he's been defeated and he's faded away there. So yeah, this is Thanos slowly turning into dust, and it is nicely sculpted, but as I said, it sort of more looks like he's turning into stone. But it's a great likeness to the Thanos character that we're seeing in the film, like it really does. You can see Josh Brolin's eyes there, definitely, can't you? And then the rest of the suit is actually battle damaged as well, or this may be fading away, but either way, it's battle damaged because at the end of Endgame, he's been in a fight with Cap, with Tony, of course. So yeah, he is a bit battle damaged, even up here on the shoulder. It's like sculpted sort of scratches and marks and roughness to it. So yeah, this guy's been in battle all the way around, even on the back here, look. But I do like how he comes with the power gauntlet. Not only is the hand posed in a click like he does at the end of Endgame, it's also got none, if I focus, none of the gems in. None of the Infinity Stones are in the gauntlet, just like the end of Endgame. When he clicks his fingers, inevitably always gonna lose, pun intended. So yeah, that's a very nice little touch. None of the accessories, none of the Infinity Gems in there at all. And of course we can swap that out and put a fisted hand on there that does in fact have the Infinity Gems on the gauntlet. As they should, as at the end of Endgame, there are moments where he has all the stones in the gauntlet and Captain Marvel and the team are trying to fight it off him. And then obviously when he does eventually snap his fingers, Tony has already stole the gem. So both options we get for the power gauntlet for Thanos are completely accurate to what we see in Endgame. So you have options now for your display, which is always great. Checking out the other head sculpts, he does come with a more smiling face, and Thanos does look very happy here, doesn't he? Very sinister, and again, I think the likeness to the CGI character we see on screen is very good. We also get a more stern face without the effect of him sort of fading away into dust, which is always nice. This is sort of how I picture Thanos. Not very happy man. And if you want a helmeted look, they do, of course, give you that as well with the gritting teeth that we've seen before. Now, I only think the missing accessory is a removable helmet or a separate accessory, which is just the helmet, because at the end of Endgame, he takes it off, sits on that stone, and sort of rests it on top of his sword. So we do not get the helmet, but we do get the sword. So now we get a much more accurate sword that we see Thanos use in Endgame with the two blades either side of this nice sort of handle with that sort of roundness to it, compared to the version we got last time, which just sort of looks like a barber's razor, doesn't it? So a much more accurate sword now with Thanos as well. So yeah, this sword is very nice. And of course, Thanos can hold it, no problems at all. And I do think the scale is really nice as well. For our first Thanos comparison, I wanted to bring in the previous armoured up Thanos figure, as it was never accurate, as we never got Thanos in his full armour with an Infinity Gauntlet with all the stones. It just never happened. And if you're like me, you've got a little bit of OCD and you want the characters on your shelf to represent the film as accurately as possible. And for the time being, we have not been able to do that with this Thanos. Now, this new one does give us a left arm without the gauntlet. However, we do get the right arm with the power gauntlet. So if you want at least one sort of, it still won't be spot on because there is battle damage on this forearm piece. But if you want the closest we've got yet, you can sort of mix and match these and basically heat the elbows up, pop the lower arms off at the elbow, and then swap them around. So you can have this forearm on this hand, or put this forearm on this hand, and try and mix and match and create your mind's eye version of Thanos, if you will, because none of the figures we've got from Marvel Legends have 100% represented Thanos that we've seen on screen. Now, that's not slating the figures, they're still great figures and they're close enough. Like, no one is going to look at your display and argue that it's not Thanos. Of course it is, but if you're like me, got a little bit of OCD, you'll always know it's not quite right. But at least we're a little bit closer now if you pop off the forearm at the elbow. Just heat it up first. And bringing in some different Thanos figures, you can see that Marvel Legends have given us plenty of options for Thanos for our display. And again, with all these new interchangeable heads that we've got, and we've had others as well, and now we've got the more accurate sword, you can sort of mix and match and create your favourite preferred Thanos for the display. I personally will at least have 2 or 3 Thanoses on my Endgame display and my Infinity War display. I'll find on my home because there's some differences here that I like. Obviously, I need a Thanos with armour, one without, one with the gauntlet, one with the power gauntlet, and I even like this sort of burnt up Thanos from the end of Infinity War, the start of Endgame, because I guess technically these 2 Thanoses are from different timelines, as Thanos does die twice in the same movie. Let's remember that. I also wanted to compare the Robert Downey Jr. likenesses compared to both of these Tony Stark head sculpts, but the first thing to point out is the scale is really off. Like if you want to have a suited Tony Stark next to an Iron Man, I don't mind if the Iron Man's a bit taller, because if you're a guy in a suit of armor, it's going to add a little bit of height and thickness to you, so that doesn't bother me. But I do think this is a little bit much. This sort of looks like his son has came out with him for a formal occasion with his suit on. Like it's a little bit too short to have an Iron Man pose with a suited body. Obviously, I've got the Tony Stark head on here because I want to compare the two. But I just thought scale-wise, a little bit too small, this suited body for this figure. Maybe this is too big, maybe this is too small. I don't really know, but still not as good as I would like. But if you're a suited guy in a body, maybe, I don't know, I'm just trying to justify it. Let's check out the 2 head sculpts though. Say away with the previous one, and I'm sure at the time I probably said, oh, this is pretty good, the best one we've got yet. But I don't really see Robert Downey Jr. in there. It's just got his features. It's just got his goatee, his hair with the quiff. So it has like his sharp features, but there's no actual likeness to Robert Downey in there, I don't think. If it is, it was at the infancy of this digital printing tech. But it's still pretty good. Like it's not terrible, but when you compare it to this new one, again, it's night and day. Like that is Robert Downey Jr. That is like his cousin. So it's very close, like very close. And if I get them both on screen, you can make your mind up. But even the head sizes, like the suited body one's really small. This guy has got a little bit thickness to it. So the new one's definitely better, obviously. Just the scales are really different. But yeah, when you compare the 2 next to each other, there is no comparison. So here we have the 2 Mark 85s next to each other, and as I said, there are differences between the 2, mainly in deco, and that upper torso piece is been modified. But here we can bring in the Mark 3 and the Mark 7, which are some of the nicest Marvel Legends Iron Man armors we have, and you can see that the scales are all a little bit different for all of them. But again, it's a Marvel Legend Iron Man figure. You can make this work in a Hall of Armor, a display with your other Avengers. But yes, so these are some of the best Iron Man figures that we have, full stop, period. And together, again, I don't mind the reds and the golds being a little bit different, as I'm sure they do change from one armor to the next. So yeah, I just need to expand my Hall of Armor so I can display all of these, because they're all really nice. Going back to that iconic Iron Man pose, I did want to compare him to the SH Figure Arts version I got that has, I believe it's a not a studio sort of add-on attachment with a Tony Stark head and an Infinity Gauntlet, which was very nice. And don't get me wrong, it's still really nice, but it is so much nicer to have the actual official Legends figure now to go along with my Legends collection. As I said, this was always sort of a stand-in until we got this. As in the words of Thanos, it was inevitable that the Hasbro team were going to give us this in Legends form. But this was a nice stand-in, because as you can see, the scales are way off, and I do think that the Legends one will fit much nicer in my display. But still, this is a nice piece anyway. This is also a comparison I really wanted to see as well. The Marvel Big Three, how they appear in that final battle in Endgame. It will go down in history. So we have Thor, but he's the fat Thor. We've got the Iron Man Mark 85, and of course we've got the Worthy Cap. And obviously the only disappointing thing about Worthy Cap is that he didn't come with a broken shield. So I had to go and get a custom one. So I do want to shout out Bearded Skull Studios, because look at this beautiful thing. This is a custom 3D printed, custom painted shield for Cap, and it is beautiful. Look at the break on that, the paintwork. This is magnificent. I'm going to definitely post this on Instagram as well, and show off some more of the printed goods that he has. But yeah, massive shout out to Bearded School Studios. If you want one like this, I'll put his links in the description below, because that is beautiful. And for some reason, even after a re-release has been announced with that Captain America 2-pack, we're still not getting a broken shield with Cap, which is a little bit frustrating. The also frustrating thing with Thor, see how I'm never happy? I just feel like I'm complaining. But Thor only has his whited out, powered up eyes. We never got a normal Thor eyes. So again, minor nitpick. But for me, if I'm going to have all three posed up, I'd like the option of powered up, powered down, because I've got the switchable head for Tony, but no switchable head for Thor. He's always going to have those powered up eyes. So that is my minor nitpick with these three, but I am still very happy to have all three in figure form. And does Cap look a little bit undersized now compared to Robert Downey Jr. and Thor? Maybe so. Here we have Tony compared to Pepper Potts in her rescue armor, and Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel with the Infinity Gauntlet as we see them in Endgame. And the more I do comparisons with this Tony Stark, as much as I love the figure, I do think he is a little bit too big in comparison to the rest of these figures from Endgame. As I create an Endgame display, I think he's going to look a little bit too big. But you let me know what you think. I thought I'd bring in Thanos to sort of show you how they all scale. And again, I think the scale on Thanos is pretty good. He's meant to be a bigger character, so I'm fine with that. I just think Tony is a little bit big compared to the two females. But if you take the females out of the way and just have Thanos compared to Tony, then I think that works. So I don't know. It's just I can't get them all to streamline in a way that I'm happy with it. There's definitely something a little bit off with the Marvel Legends MCU scale in general. Some of the heads are big, some of the heads are too small, some of the figures are too small, some of them are too big. Again, I'm nitpicking. And let's wrap this up with one last comparison. And just first and foremost, you can only hit one of them, all right, Hank? Here we have Tony and Thanos compared to Worthy, Hal, Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this 2-pack as they slowly spin around on this rotating base. I'm happy. Like, I cannot complain. Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Iron Man is the reason I fell back in love with Marvel in live action again. Anyway, I love the MCU and I love Endgame, and I like how we can now represent that final moment of Tony Stark saving the universe, snapping those fingers in Marvel Legends form. That's what I wanted on my shelf, and now I can do it, so I cannot complain. And it is without a doubt the most accurate version of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark we have in plastic. So happy with that. We'll go on my shelf, we'll find a nice spot for it as I build an Endgame display around him. And Thanos, it's another Thanos, let's be honest. I've already got plenty, but I can mix and match with all the accessories and create my ultimate Thanos, and maybe stick a couple in different places of the display, one for the Infinity War, one for Endgame, etc. So I will justify it, I am sure, and I like how they at least try to do something a little bit different with Thanos rather than giving us a straight up reissue. But still, I've brought Thanos for the 6th time now, so again, I'm a sucker. What can I say? I love these Marvel Legends and I love the MCU. It's my bread and butter. But you let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you get this 2-pack? Are you a fan of it? What do you like? What don't you like? As I said, this has been out for a little bit now, so hopefully you've got your hands on it. Let me know in the comments below. But as always, if you like what you see and you like Marvel Legends, then please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. You can also hit that join button, become a channel member as well, quite simply show some love, or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and I'm on Twitter as well. Tweet me, Dan Who Reviews. And until then, people, my name is Dan W, and I will of course see you on the next one.